welcome to Magnus Paco GVA, and today I'm in Calgary, Canada. My goodness. And I'm at Mount Royal University. I'm with Mr. Shane Jaffer, who is an adjunct professor of global business here at the university. And we're privileged to meet him. There are so many things that he does, but because he teaches here, he's here on campus here. We're actually in one of the classrooms, as you can see. And I'm highly, highly privileged to be talking to Mr. Shane Jaffer. So we're happy to be with you here on campus. And I'm telling you, you may not accept this, but you're an authority in this business because I've talked to you for a long time now. And I know the many things that you've done, what you do out there in private business, and you brought to the university here now teaching. I was greatly privileged to teach in one of your classes the other day, a global business class. And from that, I thought, hey, let's see what we can. And then you have, let me say this to my viewers, you have a background in Africa now. Okay, so you know Africa as well as anybody. And let me ask you, when we say global business, okay, what does that mean? I mean, why would anybody be bothered about global business, and what connection might that have with economic developments in Africa?
Well, Magnus, first, thanks for this opportunity. It was great having you talk to our class recently, and really, when we talk about global business, that was part of the understanding is really sharing what the opportunities are and how are we connected. And I think we're nowadays much more connected as a world, as the population of Canada starts growing and we have people from around the world here, it's important for us, for an economy, if we want to succeed, to be connected to all parts of the world. And if I could sort of bring it back to sort of Africa, it's a place where I think we as a country have not done as well as we should. And there's probably more things that we need to be able to do to succeed. But I'm excited that students here at the university and the business community are wanting to learn more. And so again, thank you for coming to speak to our class as well.
In Nigeria, in fact, there's a song that's very popular in Nigeria now, and they call it Canada. And the young guys in Nigeria are very enthusiastic about Canada. And in that song, they talk about how since the time of colonial rule in Africa, much of Africa, when, say, a country like Nigeria was colonized by the UK and other countries colonized by the French and so on, that those countries hadn't done that much for them, but Canada has.
Fresh out.
JP's a production.
You and I know, since when they try to colonize us for this Africa, we never benefit from any of those countries. You and I know, the country where we they benefit from as Nigeria youths, now Canada.
Nah, Canada.
And that Canada is admitting Nigerian students, to come here, the young people, to get an education, develop their human capital. And so I found that to be really exhilarating and inspiring, for people who are looking at connections between Canada and Africa to say, hey, there's something here that we need to work on. So what do you see there in the future about connection between Africa and Canada, especially in light of the growing population or populations of Africans here in Calgary and Canada? What does that mean for future global business with Africa?
Well, I'm really excited that we're having this immigration of African students, but also African business people here to Canada. I know in our province in Alberta, the fourth largest group of immigrants are actually from Nigeria. And that's also starting to change the perspective of how we do business and where we do business as well. By having this group of people moving to Canada, they're helping to educate us about where and how we need to work into different markets as well. So I'm optimistic, but I also realize that it's one of those long-term prospects. We still have a long ways to go to try to create more opportunities for business opportunities between Canada and Africa. And I think more needs to be done in terms of helping us realize how Africa sees us. When you talk about that song, and I'm excited that people feel about Canada that way. I just want Canada to feel the same way when we look at Africa that way. And so it's through discussions that we're having today. The more that we're able to do that, I think we'll start seeing some of those bridges developing much more closer as well.
Absolutely. So going beyond this human capital development, training students and all of that, what do you think, that African governments, businesses should do to be able to have more global business with, say, a country like Canada or United States or anybody? What do they do to attract foreign direct investment, to have stronger trade relationships?
Yeah, well, I will still say that it's a lack of understanding about Canada that right now that when we look at African countries, they certainly look at the United States for opportunities and creating links, but Canada is not well known to them. Yeah. And we've got multiple sides of Canada. We've got a French-speaking side in Quebec, and we've got a Canadian or English-speaking side in Western Canada. And so in some cases, there's different ways of doing business in both areas. And so I think one of the things we'll need to look at is how can we educate African governments about what are the opportunities and advantages of doing business with Canada. This year, half the world is going to go into different elections. And it's going to be interesting to sort of see where do those governments end up, on the left or the right, or hopefully somewhere in the center. I think when you start looking at Canada, we're much more of a centralist government, and I think we have some stability that maybe other countries might not necessarily recognize. So I would think that not only that we need to educate Canadians, but we need to work with African governments to educate them more about Canada and why they need to look to Canada for more partnerships as well.